I guess, Ty, these last few weekends, obviously, we've been able to generate some wins. Even the losses have been really, really close. What's been the difference, these last few weeks, just within the team and the mindset compared to maybe those first 10 games where things were obviously kind of tough starting out?
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I think, Mike, the difference has been the people we have available to play. That's been a piece of it. Now we're not a complete roster because of some injuries, but as you know, that wasn't our situation earlier. So having that has been a good thing. Being able to practice has been a different scenario for us. So we said after we got through our difficult situation in the fall, we said after 10 games, there really wasn't anything we could do about that. We can't press rewind. You can't press reset. You can't call timeout and say, hey, can we get a do-over for these first 10? You own them, you learn from them, and you move forward. And I mentioned in one of the interviews earlier this month, we just took the next 8 games. We said, all right, fellas, everyone's eligible to play now. We've got some guys that are hurt, but this is our group. We know who's with us moving forward, and we learned from our past. And what we're going to do now is we're going to just keep taking steps forward, and that's been our goal every day. So I think that has a lot to do with it, guys. And we've been able to have some consistency in our lines a little bit. Knock on wood, we haven't, up front, we've been pretty consistent with who's playing with who. On the back end right now, we're a little dinged up, but we see that getting better. And I just think the more time guys are able to practice with each other, spend with each other, go over scenarios and situations, they've been more comfortable, especially some of the, whether they be grad transfers or freshmen, those players are all getting more comfortable. And, with the exception of, and Augustana, it wasn't a series, our first group of games, with the exception of St. Thomas, because that was a series that we played in when I was reinstated. The reality is that a lot of those games were non-conference, and so now we knew we're playing CCHA starting in a bulk of our season. The rest of the way is going to be CCHA games. So I think our guys were more focused and more had something to kind of gravitate to.
For sure. Kind of going off what these freshmen have had to step right in. Obviously there's so many seniors last year, but for these freshmen to come in and make a mark, obviously, how kind of promising and positive has that been, considering that there were a lot of holes to fill and they've been able to step.
Yeah, I think promising and positive is a good way to put it, Michael, because when you think about your team in the spring and then you go all summer and then everybody gets here in the fall, you think, all right, maybe this, and this is going to happen, or these guys will be in this role, and these guys will be in this role, and this will be. Well, we all know that got kind of tipped upside down. So it allows opportunities for some guys who maybe you didn't have them up here to start, whether they be a freshman or a grad transfer or a transfer, or an older guy who hasn't played a lot. You maybe didn't have them in this role, but because of our situation, someone had to take that role. So you move guys in and out, you give guys opportunities, players take advantage of those opportunities, and to your point, some of these young guys have done a really good job. You look at, Brody Waters plays a lot on a regular basis, Brandon Sanawana plays a lot on a regular basis, Gustav Sternberg plays a lot on a regular basis, Cole Moore's played a lot as a freshman player. Ben Duran is hurt right now, but Ben has played. Michael Bevilacqua's played, he's hurt. So you've got different players in different spots that we feel like have helped. If I look at our lineup, last weekend, for instance, we tried to play 4 lines consistently, and the difference between our forward who played the most minutes and our forward who played the least amount of minutes wasn't that great. Sometimes you'll see nights where one or two forwards will play 20, 21 minutes, and one guy will play 6. Well, we were, I think, between 13 and 18 each night, which is good because guys want to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Is it still about, trying to find that right mix and the right, lines and everything at this point, or is that starting to become a little more solid as the season goes on?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately for us, we still haven't, with the exception of in the preseason when we were only in our 8 hours per week time, did we have everyone available? And then once we started to play games and got into our championship season and our 20 hours a week, I don't know that we've had everyone available. So It is starting to get closer to that, but when we can get guys off of injury, which we believe we're getting closer and closer to that every day, our hope would be, I don't anticipate everyone being available next weekend that's injured right now, but I do anticipate when we come back after the holiday break, we're going to have those injured players back, and we're going to have competition in goal. We're going to have competition on the blue line, and then we're going to have competition up front, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, you saw No Giesbrecht last year 5 times out of the 6 times he played Ferris. I mean, you're a probable starter for this weekend. What do you guys have to do to kind of get one past the big goalie from Ferris?
Yeah, you're right. He did a really nice job last year, and especially against us. We're going to anticipate that we're going to see him at some point this weekend. Ferris State has had a long history of having very good goaltending. And he's just another one in a long line of very good goalies that they've had. Logan Stein's been playing. It looks to me like they've been alternating Friday, Saturday. But you never know. If one guy's got a hot hand, maybe they go with him. Or if one guy's feels confident against a certain team or in a certain building, maybe they do that. But we're going to anticipate seeing Giesbrecht at some point, whether it's Friday or Saturday. And we're going to need to play a certain way, whether it's Stein or Giesbrecht, because Ferris State is a hard team to play against. They're physical. They make you go through them. They make you have to earn ice. So we're gonna, regardless of who's in net, we're gonna have to play well because we anticipate whoever plays for them doing a good job.
Yeah, and the Bulldogs on the other end, just like the Falcons, a lot of turnover in the offseason going from player to player. How is it scouting versus having you guys have a lot of turnover versus going into a series that they've had a lot of turnover, having 4 of their top 6 scorers gone from last season?
Yeah, they still have some familiar names, with Venuto and Picorni and some of those guys. And we mentioned the 2 goalies and Brancho, some guys that have had success in the CCHA, and then they've got some new guys that are chipping in. I think if you look at our league and you look at the CCHA and when you prepare for people every weekend, Ferris State's like a lot of teams. I'd be crazy, or we'd be crazy to think that this series is just going to go one way and it's going to be easy for one team. I believe they're going to be 2 really hard-fought, close games because that's what our league is. So we have to focus on, because everybody does some things differently. Ferris plays this way, and Northern plays this way, and St. Thomas plays this way. Those kinds of things. But we do have to focus on what we do, and how we play, and how we execute within our system and within our structure is probably more important than what they do. We'll look at some things and say, hey, in this situation, they may do this, but as important as what they're doing is us being able to play the way we want to play and be really, really sound in our systems and our structure and then our effort level.
Yeah, I mean, Owen Ozar has 3 goals so far in the season. The rest of his career, he's only had 1 goal in college hockey. What do you think is changing his game to finally, hit the back of the net with the puck?
I think for Owen, it's been opportunity. Played at Denver, a really good program, was a member of a national championship team. So he probably wasn't in the role he is for us. And that's why he's here, because we had the opportunity for him. And then he's taken advantage of it. He's worked. Owen Ozar's effort and his everyday is as consistent as anybody we have. He doesn't do this a lot. He's really consistent in his effort and his attitude and his execution on a daily basis, and it's showing. Because he's been a part. He plays 5-on-5. He's been a part of the penalty kill. He's been a part of the power play. So he's getting opportunities, which is exactly what the situation he hoped to be in, and he's taking advantage of it. So we're thankful that he's here and he's doing that. And obviously the goal he scored on Friday was a big one for us. Overtime winners are fun to have.
Can you talk about Cole Moore, just about his kind of progression early on this season as a freshman? Goaltender, obviously 6'6", a huge presence kind of in the net, but just how has he kind of progressed and gotten better over these last handful of games or so? Yeah,
we talked about the young guys, and as you try to predict and project out like who's going to do what, he's a guy that we didn't know, because we had Christian Stover who played a bunch of games. You don't know in August or September how much Cole Moore is going to play. just like, Nico Hannison, a freshman defenseman, or Michael Bevelak. You don't really know how much those guys are going to play if everything goes according to plan. And so in Cole's case, obviously Christian, has gotten hurt here of late. And so that opens up a window of opportunity. And Cole's done a nice job. And I think if you were to evaluate Cole on tape from this past weekend and from the first time he played in the net, they're going to look different. And then I think if you asked Cole about how his every day is and how he's doing in practice and how he feels leading up to games on the weekend, it's going to feel different. Because I remember when I came back, he had just played at Augustana, and I believe he played back-to-back nights. And I asked him, how was it? And he said, well, that's the first time I played in a building that big. So there were a lot of firsts, and he said he felt like there was a lot going on. I believe that the game has slowed down for him, and that's the biggest thing for most. I think in any sport, when a first year player comes into college sports, things happen fast and they get a little bit overwhelmed. And what you want to get to the point where things slow down. And a goaltender is probably as hard a position as there is to play in college sports. So I think things are slowing down for Cole. I think he's getting more comfortable every day in practice. I think, and obviously it's translating to him being more comfortable on the ice in games.
Yeah, the past couple of weeks you talked about Christian Stover dealing with an injury. Is that still?
He's really close. He's really close. I almost feel like if this were end of the year type scenario and not, first semester halfway through our season, Christian would be probably knocking on the door to say, hey, I can go. He's really close, and we just want to be cautious because, again, we believe our season's got a long way in front of us, and this isn't everything's important, and you want to do the best you can every weekend, but we're trying to look long term to make sure Christian's good. But he's getting really close to being back.